host of the Gridiron.
Right. I mean, and this happens with every team. This is just not so much the Giants. I mean, you can't just look at the Giants and go, oh, yeah, yep, they're the only team this happened to. Yep. Yeah, I mean, everybody, oh, yeah, Joe Schoen's an idiot. Yep. This hasn't happened to any of the other 31 teams. No, this happens to every team, right? But, they bringing this up here shows the success of the ex-Giant players, right? Kind of, makes things hurt even a little bit more, right? I mean, so obviously the Giants players that Schoen hasn't re-signed or let go or whatever, that are playing elsewhere who are doing really well. But there are also guys that are playing elsewhere who maybe aren't doing so well. But that's not the point of this article here. This article here is we got successes of ex-Giants deepens the misery for New York and the GM Joe Schoen. But the thing is that, you can't sign everybody. I mean, a lot of these players are, command some money, and the NFL does not want that. They don't want, they don't want that, right? It's just, unfortunately, it's pick and choose who you're going to keep and who you're going to let go. It is what it is, right? And you can't keep everybody. They talk about James Bradberry. Schoen released the veteran Bradberry because he desperately needed the $10.1 million in salary cap savings as he tried to dig out of the financial mess he inherited. Yep. Giants had only a shade above $5 million in space at the time and needed far more than that to sign their rookie class. Yep. And get through the 2022 season. It stunk that Bradberry signed with the Eagles, and he had a great season. Ending up as a second-team All-Pro, Bradberry was terrible in 2023 and was moved to safety this year before landing on injury reserve. He hasn't played it down. Well, it said verdict. This was the right move. It was, I mean, he had no choice. Schoen had no choice, right? Then they talk about Evan Ingram. From a Giants perspective, it stinks that Ingram had to go somewhere else to become the player that GM Jerry Reese thought he could be when he made Ingram his final first-round pick in 2017. Ingram was at the time a dynamic receiving tight end for the Giants. At times, his penchant for drops, especially costly drops and fumbles at critical moments, turned him into a target for frustrated fans. Ingram had his best 2 seasons of his career since joining the Jaguars. Verdict, this was the right move for both sides. Ingram needed a fresh start and has probably benefited from the low-key atmosphere in Jacksonville. Giants were also starting over, and letting Ingram go was the best move for them. And they got Julian Love, right? His first 3 seasons with the Giants, it was always a belief that the versatile former 4th-round pick could be more than the Giants were letting him be. He finally got to start full-time in 2022, delivered a breakout season, and capitalized on that by signing a 2-year, $12 million deal with the Seahawks. He made the Pro Bowl last season and has signed a 3-year, $36 million extension with the Seahawks. Giants made an effort to sign J. Love with special sauce, but per The Athletic, they offered him a 3-year, $22.5 million deal during the 2022 season. Love thought he could do better in free agency the following offseason. It turned out he could not. But by the time Love's representatives presented the offer to the Giants, they chose not to match, even though there was less money than what they had reportedly offered him. So I said, and they go, verdict. This was unfortunate because Love is a good player. It would have helped the Giants to keep. I don't think it falls into the mistake category because the Giants made Love a quality offer. He rejected it. Chose free agency, and when players have options, sometimes they move on. So I mean, it would have been nice. I mean, the Giants, once again, I mean, the Giants, had I mean, one of the problems, is like, look at our secondary, right? Had Love, McKinney, so it's a shame, but once again, it's you can't pay everybody $10-20 million. The NFL does not allow that. You have the salary cap. Is what it is. Then they talk, of course, about Leonard Williams after he had the 91-yard interception return this week against the Jets. Yeah. Williams got a 3-year, $64.5 million contract with $26.2 million guaranteed from the Seahawks this offseason. So, I mean, so he's getting paid, what, $21 million a year. So, I mean, unfortunately, you can't pay Brian Burns 29, Sexy 22, 23. Kayvon's making whatever he's making, 6, 7, and Williams at like 20-something million. You can't have I don't know what that would be, 50, 67, like an $80 million front wall. It's almost impossible. You can't do that. Fans were incensed by Dave Gettleman trading for Williams, and then again by the 3-year, $63 million contract that Gettleman gave him. The Seahawks gave up 2 picks and then paid Williams even more than Gettleman did. And then let's not forget, when we traded him away, what Shane got in return was phenomenal, right? They talk about, let's see, the verdict here. Verdict. Mixed. Trading Williams was the right move. It was probably something Shane should have done this season with Azeez Ojulari and Darius Slayton, though. Neither would have brought anything close to the return the Giants got for Williams. No. The trade allowed the Giants to swap a second-round pick for Brian Burns. So, right, he's an excellent player who is 4 years younger than Williams. They used the second-round pick on safety Tyler Nubin, also a good thing. So, is what it is. And of course, we got Saquon Barkley. I mean, obviously he's all over the news, right? And of course, Xavier McKinney. Is he still tied for the league lead? I think. 4-year, $67 million contract, $23 million guaranteed from the Packers. Let's see. Truth be told, in 4 seasons with the Giants, McKinney never played like one of the best 4 safeties in football. Well, now he's getting paid like one of the top 4 safeties in football. McKinney has 7 interceptions in 12 games, a career high, after having just 9 in 61 games over 4 seasons with the Giants. That's embarrassing since the Giants have just 1 interception all year. The thing is, with this one, with McKinney, Shane's belief in his positional value meant that he was never going to pay his safety the way the Packers paid McKinney. Don't forget that McKinney's self-inflicted hand injury suffered in 2022 bye week in Cabo undoubtedly cost him some trust and goodwill from the front office. McKinney's public criticism of Wink Martindale also could not have played well in the front office. So, it's just, this happens with every team. It's just not. It's just not the New York Giants. You can go from one team to the next team to the teams that they go to teams and players that they did not re-sign, traded away, whatever, right? That they chose not to. And there's are players from every team, right, that are no longer with that team that are doing well out in the NFL. It's just not the Giants. It's a business decision. A lot of times it's a business decision. You can't. I said, with the defensive tackles, right? You can't, or if you're going to pay Sexy $23 million a year and you're going to pay Leonard Williams $22 million a year, well, now you don't have money now. You can't pay an edge rusher. So it's like positional value, what Shane believes in, right? He values the edge rushers. He values the tackles, maybe a defensive tackle, right? If there's going to be another defensive tackle next to Sexy, he's probably not going to pay somebody $25 million a year for that. It's probably not going to happen. That way, maybe you see he's trying to fill the roles with cheaper guys and also fill the roles of defensive tackles through the draft, right? but we're still looking for somebody else next to sexy. But I mean, as like with McKinney, he was not going to pay McKinney $17 million a season. Is what it is. Unfortunately, with Saquon, right? He was not going to pay Saquon. I mean, he offered him. Saquon turned it down, right? But he wasn't going to pay him, Saquon 14 or 15 million, positional value. I said, if you go back and look over the past whatever Super Bowl winners, you look at the running backs. I mean, if the Eagles go to the Super Bowl this season, that'll be a huge, change. But if you look at the winning teams, right, the running backs, winning teams win the Super Bowl, how much they're paying their top running back? It's a couple $1 million, right? You don't need, as I said once again, it's good for the Eagles. They have no salary cap in Philadelphia. They bring in these players and they push all the money down the road so they can basically bring in whoever they want. They have 2 number 1 wide receivers. They have a phenomenal offensive line. They have a very good quarterback, a great tight end. The offensive line coach, Jeff, I can't never remember his last name, is phenomenal. He might be the best guy in the NFL or top 2 or so or whatever. As I said, there's no salary cap in Philadelphia. Howie Roseman pays anybody whatever they want. He just pushes all the money down. He owes like $400 million in contracts. He pushed all the money down the road. A lot of the other teams choose not to do that because it screws up the salary cap going down the road. The Eagles are in win now mode. So Howie Roseman's bringing in all these guys, paying all these guys. Right? Like I said, like Saquon. That's why Saquon is paying him 13, 14 a year, but he only counts like toward 2 or 3 million toward the cap this season. Pushed all the money down the road. Right, and he has like 3 or 4 void years on the end of his contract, Saquon, right? But as I said, what Saquon's doing now with the Eagles, he was never going to do with the Giants. We don't have the offensive line. We don't have the offensive firepower. We got injuries. The Eagles don't have injuries. So he was never going to get the same numbers with the Giants. It is what it is. I said, but this happens with every team, right? And I said it's a lot of it's just business decisions, right? You can't pay everybody. You'd like to, but you can't. The NFL won't allow it. There's the salary cap, so it is what it is. Shane's building the team his way, and fortunately, right now it doesn't look like it's working out too well, but it is what it is. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 30 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay, that's once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants.